Hi everyone and welcome to Curly and Yarny. My name is Milena and today is a video that is a part 2 of a weaving series in which I am trying double weaving on my rigid Heddle Loom for the first time. So in the first part of this series, I tried to do the warping, and now the warping is done. In today's video, I will be trying to weave this double weave. And spoiler alert, it worked. So let's get started. Alright, so welcome back to Weaving Double Weave. The warp is I've gone on the loom. It's all slotted through my heddles, and now I am ready to insert pickup sticks. So for this, I will be needing 2 pickup sticks, and I will insert them behind the heddles, and I will be using them at the same time while weaving. So I'm still going to refer myself to the Ashford book. So the Ashford book of rigid heddle weaving, the revised edition by Rowena Hart. So I am now on page 100, and let's just do it. Alright, so now what I have to do, I need to put both my heddles into the down position. So that's the 1 and 2. Then I need to insert my first pickup stick. So both pickup sticks will be used in order to create 2 layers. And so the first one will be layer A, and then the pickup stick I'm going to use for this will then be called pickup stick A. So in order to be able to differentiate both sticks, I've decided that the actual pickup stick will be pickup stick A, and the shuttle will be pickup stick B. It will work the same way, and this way would be maybe easier to differentiate them because they're the same color. So that's the only trick I found. So both heddles in the down position, and I need to pick up all of the golden yellow threads. So I'm just picking them all up. And just to be clear, I'm only picking up the golden yellow threads that are in the slot on both heddles. When I was threading this back heddle, I put one of the golden yellow thread inside of the eye of the heddle. So and now I have one in the eye and the other one in the slots. So it's really just the slot one that I want to pick up with my stick. When both heddles are in the down shed, it's quite easy because it's the one that is being lifted so at the top of the shed. So one pickup stick done, second one to go, pickup stick B for my second shed, so for shed B. So for this one I need to put, let's put that there, I need to put back heddles inside of the up position. Let's start with the front one. This way, this way. And now I need to slide this pickup stick forward so that it leans on this, and apparently there should be a bottom shed that forms. I think there is, and I simply have to insert that one in. So let's go in. Alright, that was really easy. Alright, so both pickup sticks are inserted, so let's try now to see what kind of shed those two can really give me. That doesn't make any sense. Just realized I did something wrong. So pickup stick A, I picked up the golden yellow threads, but I actually need to pick up the gray threads. So I'm just gonna do this again. So both heddles down position. This goes out, and I put it back. working, so let's just try it. First, I'm still going to weave a bit of scrap yarn. Something I'm wondering and I don't really have the answer is that am I better to weave in the scrap yarn while weaving with both shuttle up, both shuttle down, so basically weaving only one layer at a time, and then really starting the double weave process? Or is it better to weave the scrap yarn as I'm going to weave the rest of my yarn, so really with 2 layers connected on one side? If you know the answer, just let me know. For now, I think I'm just going to actually try weaving it like 1 layer normal, so just a few normal up and down picks, and after that I really start the double weaving. Okay, now I have everything set up. Let's do this. So for double weaving, what I actually want to do the most out of it would be to do double width, so to double the width of my project on my loom. So this is what I am trying to do first. But I have a little problem at one place, and in order to really show you the problem, I kind of need to explain to you more in details how this double weaving is working. So as I've mentioned many times, there are 2 layers, so a top layer and a bottom layer, and both of them are being woven in plain weave. So my top layer is the one woven with my gray warp, and my bottom layer is the one woven with my golden yellow warp threads. So when I am weaving, since that both layers needs to be woven in plain weave but they should never intertwine, I actually need to have 4 different shades. So 2 shades for the top layer and 2 shades for the bottom layer. So here's the shade that I have made thanks to my pickup sticks. So first of all, let's go with the top shade. So if I take my heddle and I put it in the up position, this is the first shade. Then if I take it back to the neutral position and I slid my pickup stick A, so in my case the pickup stick A is my real pickup stick, I slide it behind the back heddle and I turn it on its side this way. This would lift, so then this way it lifts some of the gray threads, and I now have another shade. So this is my second shade. So that's what needs to happen in order to be weaving the top layer. Now if I move on to the bottom layer, well, again I have 2 shades. So the first one would be to take my back heddle and to put it in the down position. So here we see that some of the golden yellow threads are now down and there is a shade created. So this is where I need to put my shuttle. The second shade for this layer is to put the heddle back inside of the neutral position. Then I take my pickup stick B. So for me, in this case, that's the other stick I took. So that's actually a very large shuttle. So I take it and I flip it on its side, and then other threads are being pushed down and I have another shed created. So it's actually not that complicated to create all of those sheds. So now let me explain the issues I am experiencing, which really aren't a big deal, but I think it's important to know this. So when I started weaving, I really have only a few picks left. I got really excited and I just flipped the book, and the next page was about weaving 2 different layers. I thought I'm going to follow this exact sequence. So following the sequence of weaving in terms of which shed to open at which time, and I'm just going to follow this, and on one side I'm actually going to connect the thread, and it should be easy. But a few picks in, I realized that something was happening at the selvage where my thread is connecting. So because of the weight and the sequence of the sheds that are created, I realized that there are at some places, at some points, two threads that are actually not being woven back and back. So it's like if I would have like two big floats of two threads next to each other, or at least I haven't really seen it, but that's how I feel it would look like once I would open the project. And I think it would look very weird, and that's really not something that I would want. So then I kept looking around the book, and I found this other project where it's really a double width project where they have a blanket project. So I've noticed that the sequence of the sheds are different, and I think that's kind of the key because of the way that the threads are in the heddle, and whether the weft thread goes around an eye or a slit. Sometimes it can create funky edges. I don't want to go too much into details, like I haven't fully comprehended it yet either. So all of this to say that I'm actually going to stop this and start over, but following the sequence that is really aimed at double width weaving. So I think it's important to know that even though all the three variations can be done with the same warp, the weaving of the weft needs to be different in order for it to really work. So now let's just go on and change this. Alright, so now here are the sequence that I will need to respect in order, I believe, for this to really work well. So if I follow the book, so it says that I absolutely have to start on the right. I started on the left, maybe because I am a lefty, but here let's start on the right. I need to put this heddle into the up position. So the first heddle up front. Then I need to go from right to left. And I beat. I am not taking care of my tails today, so this is just a sample. It's not something I'm worrying about. So I've done one pick inside of the up shed, and this was actually a pick that was already there on the loom, so it looks a bit funky, but it's okay. Again, it's just a sampler. So I've done just one pick in this up shed, but I already need to go inside of the down shed. And doing this, I will go with the back reed. So the back reed in the down position. Let's push this back. Now that looks better. I am grabbing onto the orange thread, so that makes me feel way better, but not the one there. Okay, let's see. So that's done. And then I need to do the second pick inside of for the down layer. So I take my shuttle and I go back in. Can now go this way. I beat, and now it's the shed with this pickup stick, the pickup stick A. So back to the top layer. I feel more confident for the selvage right now. I'll just keep doing this and see where this takes us. a few inches and it seems to be working well. So I now really have one big piece of cloth connected on one selvage. A few thoughts on the technique so far, things that I could observe. I find it a bit hard to weave the bottom layer, just in terms of the fact that I don't know if I'm like picking up a thread that I shouldn't and then making floats. When I insert my hand here, I noticed two spots where I have floats. So, but at the end I was a bit more mindful, and it seems to be okay. We'll see once this is off the loom. Talking about taking this off the loom, I'm so excited to see this being open. But before that, I still have a bit of warp. So before that, I really want to try the two other ways to use this technique. So I want to weave 2 layers, and I also want to weave in a tube. Another thing I noticed also before we jump to that, I noticed that threads here tend to want to like cross over each other, and so far it's not causing any trouble because my pickup sticks kind of like push the tangle further and it's working. But I don't know if like for a long warp it might be causing trouble, it might cause like tension issues. I don't know, it's just something I am observing. So next up, I'm going to try to just weave 2 different layers. So I brought back the 2 leftover yarn I had after warping this. So I will be weaving 2 layers. So the top one fully in green, the bottom one fully in golden yellow, and just to try it out. So let's start this. Alright, and so I have decided to advance the warp quite a bit because I want to leave enough warp in order to be able to have fringes and just like make knots to secure my weft yarn once this will be off the loom. And so now in order to start the 2 layers, I'm going to follow the recipe from the book again, so the one I did at the beginning but without connecting at the selvage, so it shouldn't be so hard, and so let's just get started. So first I want to do the top layer, which will have 2 picks. So that will be shed number 1 with the pickup stick. This pickup stick I need to kind of keep in my hand. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to stay there, but it's not that annoying, it's just something I need to keep in mind. So my thread is here, let's put it here. Now let's move the heddle up for shed number 2. I think I'll have enough threads to make knots at the end of this sample here. So it's not the best way to do this, but it's working. So now I beat, and the challenge will be to have this done approximately at the same height on the lower layer, but I'm up for the challenge. So first thing we'll do with this one, then you create a shed, put in this new yarn in. Alright, try to push it. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Then this one is down. My shed is not so nice. Looks okay. And I beat. And I'll keep going. Alright, so I have now woven quite a lot of this 2-layer technique, so I really have 2 layers, my hands can touch inside of them. So I still have a bit of work left, and with that I want to try the third way of doing double weave, so I want to do a tube. So let's do this. Alright, so now this is the moment of truth. So everything has been taken off the loom, and now we can see the 3 samples that I have just woven. So let's first of all look at the first one, so the double width, and here it is. I'm really excited with the result. Right off the bat, we noticed a float here. It's more noticeable on the other side. So this was the bottom layer, and I find it a bit hard to actually have a sense of what I was weaving in the bottom layer. So here and there I do have a few floats, so that's something that I would want to keep in mind when weaving weaving another project with this technique. But still, I got a double width project, and for me that's a lot. One thing about this is that when I read about double width weaving, I knew that one of the struggle was at the selvage, that often when people would weave that, it was very hard not to have like this kind of line where the 2 layers meet. Here I find it's not that visible, but at the same time I'm using 2 colors, so the eye is kind of already being maybe mesmerized by the fact that there are 2 colors. If it was the same color, maybe we would see it more. So now let's look at the other sample, so the double layers, and yes, I do have 2 layers that are completely independent. Then the third one is the tube right here, and it does work. I do really have a tube, so I can put my whole arm in it, and it is working. I find that the use of the double width is probably the one that is the most interesting to most of you guys, and is the one that is maybe the most straightforward what you can do with this, so you can double the potential of your loom. For example, myself, I have a 32-inch loom, which is pretty wide, and I can do a lot of things on it, but I would like to weave blankets, so not baby blankets, but adult size blanket, and this would be a good way to achieve that. For this, I believe that if ever I wanted to make a long series of cushion, that could be pretty fun. So I wouldn't even have to sew the 2 edges. I could just weave them, and I'll be sure that all my stripes would be exactly the same. Same thing with this. If ever I wanted to make, I don't know, a poncho, and I would want my 2 layers of the poncho to be exactly the same and have stripes that are matching, well, this would be a way to do it, because I would be weaving the stripes at the exact same time. So I really enjoy doing those samples. I feel like I really learned a lot while doing this. I also feel like I might still need to learn a bit more and find maybe ways to really master this technique, and to maybe ways to improve parts of it. But overall, I'm very satisfied, and I can't wait to be weaving my first actual double width project. I hope you also enjoyed those two videos. Even though it wasn't a proper tutorials, I'm sure you could also find some values in those videos. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video. This is actually a great way to support my channel. If you really enjoyed them and you would want to support my channel even more, make sure to check out my Ko-fi page. So I will provide a link here, but also in the description down below. So thank you so much for being here with me today, and see you very soon in the next one. Bye bye.